Jill Duggar reunites with mom Michelle in an emotional chapter of healing and family reconnect. In the wake of heartbreak and loss, there are sometimes moments that transcend years of silence, disagreement, and distance. Such was the case when Jill Duggar, the once estranged daughter of the famously conservative Duggar family, reunited with her mother, Michelle Duggar, during one of the most devastating moments of her life. A reunion between mother and daughter may not seem newsworthy to most families, but in the context of the Duggar dynasty, a family once made famous for their large brood and strict religious upbringing, it represents something far deeper. It's not merely about a shared moment of grief, it's about the power of reconciliation, the fragility of family ties, and the ways we sometimes come back to our roots in times of profound sorrow. Jill and her husband, Derek Dillard, recently suffered an unspeakable loss, the stillbirth of their daughter, Isla Marie. The couple announced the heartbreaking news earlier this year, revealing that their baby girl had died in the womb during the second trimester. As they planned a memorial service for Isla Marie, Jill made a decision that surprised many. She invited her parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, to attend. The gesture sent ripples of curiosity and speculation through fans of the family, many of whom had followed the years-long estrangement between Jill and her parents. For a long time, Jill had been open about her separation from her family. While the Duggar family rose to fame on their reality TV series and appearances that highlighted their strict adherence to fundamentalist Christian values, behind the scenes, tensions were growing. Jill was among the first of the Duggar children to publicly step away from the rigid expectations and control she felt under her parents' guidance, particularly that of her father. Her decision to speak out and live more independently was met with public support from some, concern from others, and private tension within the family. The distance between Jill and her parents deepened when she and Derek began openly questioning the principles they were raised on. They made personal choices regarding birth control, therapy, education, and finances that went against the grain of Duggar family doctrine. Jill further detailed this divergence in her memoir, where she explored the personal toll of growing up in the public eye under a strict patriarchal system. Her candor sparked praise for her bravery but also raised questions about whether the family could ever truly come together again. Despite all of this, the pain of losing a child often cuts deeper than any argument or ideological divide. Jill, mourning the death of her baby girl, reached out to the people she had once called her closest family. Whether it was a need for comfort, a desire for peace, or simply the recognition that time is fleeting and precious, Jill extended an invitation to her mother. Michelle accepted. The reunion was quiet, private, and steeped in the somber atmosphere of the memorial service. But in that moment, something shifted. Witnesses who were close to the event described an atmosphere of solemn unity. Michelle was there not just as a public figure or a matriarch of a famous family but as a grieving grandmother, standing beside her daughter in a moment of unimaginable pain. Jill and Michelle shared brief but meaningful moments together, embraces, tears, and quiet conversations that reflected not only their shared grief but the shared history of motherhood. Michelle, though largely silent in the public eye these days, was reportedly tender and present, offering comfort and emotional support to Jill in a way that reminded many of the closeness they once shared. This reunion did not occur in isolation. In the months leading up to the memorial, subtle signs of reconciliation had begun to surface. During the most recent Christmas holidays, Jill and Derek visited the Duggar family home in Arkansas, attending celebrations that included her parents and many of her siblings. Photos from the occasion, quietly shared on social media by other family members, showed Jill and Michelle together in the same space, laughing with children, talking with relatives, and sitting across the table during family meals. The images stood in stark contrast to the narrative that had prevailed for years, one of estrangement and emotional distance. The rekindling of the mother-daughter bond appears to be something both women have longed for, though circumstances often stood in the way. In interviews, Jill has spoken tenderly of her mother, despite past grievances. She has described missing her mom's advice, her warmth, and the closeness they once shared during Jill's own childhood. Even during the height of their strained relationship, Jill continued to reach out to Michelle for parenting advice and emotional support, particularly after the birth of her children. That yearning never fully disappeared, and in the wake of her recent loss, it seems to have found a path forward. Michelle, too, has remained relatively quiet in the years since her family's reality TV presence faded from mainstream view. Once the ever-present matriarch of a household known for its discipline and religious convictions, Michelle has stepped back from the public spotlight following a series of scandals involving her husband and eldest son. Still, those who know her say that she has quietly continued to reach out to her children, even the ones who have chosen different paths in life. Her presence at Jill's side during the memorial service for Isla Marie was, in many ways, an affirmation of a mother's unconditional love, regardless of past disagreements, public narratives, or private wounds. Observers and family insiders suggest that the experience of mourning together has given Jill and Michelle an opportunity to rediscover common ground. While they may not agree on everything, and may never fully see eye to eye, the shared experience of loss has reminded them of what connects them at their core. Both women have raised children. Both have experienced joy, anxiety, fear, and hope through motherhood. And now, both have felt the indescribable pain of saying goodbye to a child too soon. This fragile reconnect has not gone unnoticed by the wider Duggar family. Siblings who had taken sides, remained silent, or chosen their own distance are now watching a delicate bridge being rebuilt. Some have reportedly been inspired to initiate their own conversations, reach out across divides, and reflect on the relationships in their lives that have been damaged by miscommunication or difference of belief. For a family whose public identity has long centered around unity and shared faith, these private steps toward healing may mark a new era, one rooted not in conformity, but in understanding. It's important to remember that reunions like this are not necessarily neat, tidy, or permanent. Rebuilding trust takes time. A moment of shared mourning, no matter how profound, doesn't erase years of conflict or resolve every issue. But it does open a door. For Jill and Michelle, that door is now slightly ajar. Whether they walk through it together remains to be seen, but the willingness to try speaks volumes. This moment between Jill and her mother also speaks to broader themes that resonate far beyond the Duggar name. Families everywhere grapple with conflict, estrangement, ideological rifts, and personal trauma. What makes this story compelling is not the celebrity of the people involved, but the deeply human emotions at its heart. The grief of a parent, the longing of a daughter, the courage to forgive, and the power of love to create space for healing even in the darkest of times. Jill and Michelle's reunion, quiet as it may have been, is a chapter still being written. It may lead to more open conversations, to restored traditions, or perhaps to newly defined relationships that honor both personal boundaries and familial bonds. It's a testament to the fact that even after years of distance, there can be a return, not to the past, but to something new, built on honesty, empathy, and the ever-present possibility of grace. For now, mother and daughter are no longer on separate islands. They found one another in the storm, standing together, if only for a moment, in memory of a life that was lost but will never be forgotten. In doing so, they've offered a glimpse into the heart of healing, and into the enduring strength of family, even in the most complex of stories. This moment between Jill and her mother also speaks to broader themes that resonate far beyond the Duggar name. Families everywhere grapple with conflict, estrangement, ideological rifts, and personal trauma. What makes this story compelling is not the celebrity of the people involved, but the deeply human emotions at its heart. The grief of a parent,